how to change your grips at home. I've done a couple different videos about changing your golf grips at home. Today, I really want to focus on helping you to make that process go smoother. Now, maybe you don't have a vise at home, or maybe you don't have a workbench or a workspace. I'm going to show you how to build a regripping station that you can put anywhere and regrip golf clubs. So let's go. Hey everyone, it's AJ, the mobile club maker. Thanks for watching the video. As always, if you enjoy it, please like it, share it, or subscribe to the channel down below. So, like I said in the introduction, how to change your golf grips at home. It's a topic that we've covered here before. I've done a video about changing your grips using rubber cement even, and I'll leave a link to that down below. That's an interesting method. But today I really want to focus on maybe the people who would want to regrip their golf clubs but don't think they've got the space or the exact right setup to do it. Specifically, maybe you don't have a workbench or you don't have a vise. You know, maybe you live in an apartment, maybe you live in a condo, or maybe you just don't have space in your house for that sort of setup. So what we're going to do today is we're going to build a regripping station. A regripping station basically is going to be, if you have a flat surface and a wall, you're going to be able to use this to regrip your golf clubs. You know, I did that video about regripping with rubber cement, and there's other videos online with people regripping golf clubs with no vise of any kind and just doing it with two hands and squeezing it on. And it's doable. You can make it work. You can get a couple grips done, but you know, let's face it, if you're going to do a whole set of clubs or a few sets of clubs, it's going to get really tedious and really time consuming. So it's really helpful to have something a little more substantial to help you work through that process and be a little faster and a little more precise. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go through the process of building this very simple, very inexpensive, very compact gripping station that you can basically store wherever you need to when you're not using it. Take it out, put it basically anywhere, like I said, flat surface and a wall, and you're going to be able to regrip your golf clubs. So let's get started. Okay, so first let's go over the tools you're going to need for this and the equipment that you're going to need. First off, you're going to need some sort of shaft clamp, something to hold the shaft. This is going to be the most expensive part of this project. It's going to run you around $70 for something like this. This is a pretty basic shaft clamp as far as it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but it's very sturdy, very well made, and does the job perfectly. It's got the little lever action there. It's got the padded shaft clamp, everything you would want for doing regripping work. Again, this is about $70. There's a couple different ones you can get that are around that $60 to $70 range. There's also other ones that are more expensive, but something like this is all you really need, and this will last you as long as you want to use it. So this, a shaft clamp, number one. Secondly, you're going to need a 2x4. Although it doesn't have to be a 2x4, you can use different size wood, whatever you have lying around. I've got a 2x4 here cut into two different sizes, a longer length and a shorter length. The longer length piece, I want to make sure is about 35 inches at the shortest. The reason for that is that's going to allow you to accommodate whatever club you plan on regripping, be it a putter or a 46-inch driver, let's say. That'll allow you enough room to be able to regrip any club in the bag on this platform. The other piece, the smaller piece, there's a little more wiggle room. You can make it anywhere from, I'd say, this is about, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches. You can go anywhere from, 5 inches up to 9 inches. It really doesn't matter. This is just going to be our sort of our stabilizing back piece that sort of braces it. So it's less important of having an exact length. It's just more a matter of, what you've got available and how wide you want to make it. So this one, again, is about 6 inches. The other piece, the longer piece, is about 35 inches. That'll be our frame. The only other tools you're going to need are some screws and some bolts to put everything together. And that's about it. So let's get started with what we're going to be doing. So the first step in the process is we're going to be attaching the smaller piece of 2x4 to the larger piece of 2x4. We're going to be attaching it to one end And we want it to look basically like this. So we're nice and flat on one end. This is going to be the side over here that sits on the counter or whatever we're going to set it on. So the other end is going to stick up like that. But we want the one end nice and flush between the two pieces. Just mounted right in the center. I'm going to do this with just a simple screw. I'll go ahead and pre-drill a hole to make it a little easier, and we'll go from there. Okay, after we've got the two pieces of wood connected up, the next step is going to be measuring out and pre-drilling our holes so that we can mount our vice clamp onto the other end of our rig. So we'll go ahead, put the vice clamp on there on the other end, get it centered. We want it so that the vice clamp is pointing so the shaft will run nice and parallel with the base piece of wood. And then we're just going to pre-drill those holes so we can fit the bolts in and attach it together. Okay, so we've got our backstop piece screwed into our frame, and we've also drilled in some holes for our bolts to go in. I've also put, you can see, drilled out the backs a little bit bigger so I can fit the fit the bolt head further inside because the bolts aren't very long, and it'll give it a smoother finish so it'll sit flat on a table. Now we can just bolt it all together and we're basically done. Okay, so here's the final product. It's not the prettiest looking thing in the world, but it's incredibly functional, it's inexpensive, and it's very compact, which is great. You've got the shaft clamp up here, you've got the frame, and you've got your base plate on this side to push against. Put the club in, press it up against something so you've got something to push against, and you can regrip all your clubs very simply and with a lot less hassle than trying to just hold them. Again, if you don't have a vise, if you don't have a workbench, this is a very simple workaround that costs all of, say, $75 for everything all in, and you can basically use it anywhere, and when you're not using it, store it in your closet, store it in the attic, store it wherever. If you wanted to add a few more bells and whistles to it, you could take a painting drip pan and screw it into the back here. Put a couple screws in the back, screw through the edge of the painting drip pan, and you'd have a catch tray for any of that solvent that runs off while you're doing the regripping. Again, that's not something you have to do, but that would be a nice little addition if you wanted to. That way you have a little drip pan on the back side that you can take on and off. Other than that, you could also put a couple lines maybe on the other side, just sight lines if you were wanting to make sure you were perfectly straight up and down for things like putter grips, that sort of thing. But other than that, like I said, it's a very simple but very functional piece of equipment. Changing your golf grips at home doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to take up a lot of space, and it doesn't have to be expensive. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it, share it, or subscribe to the channel down below. Please take care, and we will see you next time. Thanks.